under some kind of a pressure to join a gang. You tell me gangs are bad, you're not going to join a gang. Do you do anything to try to keep these kids out of it?
I mean, if they're the same age I am, it would be up to them. See, because I'm the same age they is, I mean, they're old enough to realize what they want to do in life.
And if they're younger?
And if they're young, I mean, I got to show them some type of leadership. Some type of leadership. If it's nothing more than stopping at the red light, you know, like the red light said. You know. I mean, I got to show them some type of leadership. And you know, rap to them and say, hey, look, your big brother's going astray, don't follow him. You know, stay in school or something. You know, I mean, find something better to do. You know, I even take them out and play a game of chess, teach them how to play chess, checkers, you know. I mean, these are all things, you know, that they can use their brains for, you know.
Is there a hassle if you don't want to join a gang? Gangs recruit pretty actively, don't they?
Yeah, I guess they do. But I really don't know how they do it, you know, because I've never been in one.
Anybody try to get you to join one, ever?
Uh-uh.
You're pretty lucky.
But everybody, most of the people that you see with the time on, you know, we're in an organization, Detroit Youth Association, co-founded by Brother Black and Billy Hope.
And that's a good place to be, you know? What does it do for you?
But mainly you get self-discipline and, you know, in the group discipline, self-control, and like we be doing exercises, you know, to build your body.
Mama, why do you think kids join gangs?
Because of, like the brother mentioned, like when you're out on the street and you don't have anything to do, you got to find things to sort of counteract your time with. So therefore, if there's nothing to do, then you're gonna try to make something to do. So like brothers, you know, they just go astray, start doing what they think is best. Sometimes it don't be the best. You know, now people, you know, some people gotta learn, you know, they do's and they don'ts.
And that's what the DYA is for. I mean, the DYA is to show them and to guide them the right way. I mean, if we were showing them the wrong type of leadership, then we wouldn't go this far, you know? I mean, we wouldn't still struggle if nobody really listened. I mean, we're going to still struggle if nobody never even take heed to it, you know? So if this act ever take interest into their mind, you know, I mean, they could just come on in. It would be just like joining the family, you know? There's nothing to be afraid of or nothing. We're not trying to just say, hey, look, we're going to start a different type of gang. No, we're not. You know, we're all members of the DYA, which is called the Detroit Youth Association, you know.
Is it a pretty good thing to be a kid here? Do you feel pretty good when you wake up in the morning that things are going to get a little better?
Not lately, no.
Why?
When I wake up in the morning, most of the time I do, I feel like I go back to sleep. Because I know it's about, you might have to go to the store, you might have to go downtown, you might have to go somewhere, and it's about, you know, putting your life on the line.
What kind of a city is it where you're going to go to the store and put your life on the line?
It's a dangerous city because, I mean, see, I'm not just talking about the gangs. See, because lots of times, see, the gangs might, you know, get a hold to you, but if you manage to get away from the gangs, then you have to dodge the police. So the police, they'll harass you. I mean, if you don't have any ID, you got to go downtown. It's about stopping off in the nearby alley, getting, you know, beat half to death, you know, and then they be asking you a whole bunch of questions like what gang you in and trying to label you and things of this sort, you know, like I've never been in the gang, do not want to be in the gang. I'm in the DYA Association. Like, I met the brother Billy Holcomb, 2 years back, you know, and he rapped to me about it, you know, and I figured that this would be the best thing, if anything. Because it is, in a way, security. See? It's not a game. It's what's happening.
Do you have any hope that your organization, Operation Get Down, is working, is reaching the kids? Things are going to get better here?
I know it's helping some. But if it wasn't for places like these, it'd probably be much worse than it is.
you get older, if you get married, you have kids, you want to bring them up in this city?
That's what we're working on now. I mean, before my kids get here, we're trying to better this city.
Detroit worth saving?
I swear. I only lived here 9 years, and, I really like this city.
What do you like about it? You're telling me how bad things are. What's it?
Relax. It's not going to be no more gangs that we have to run and say, hey, look here, there go a group of guys, let's run. It's not like that. They could be coming to ask you, can we borrow your basketball? It's just all about seeing what they're up to before you just up and say that, hey, this is a gang and let's get out of here. They're up to no good. That's the reason we talk to them before we just up and say who they are and what they're doing.
Where do the kids hang out around here? Not necessarily gang kids, but on a day like today, we wanted to just drive around and look for people on the streets. Where would we look?
You can look in the projects, around Chandler Park area. You see a lot of them just hanging around. They might be shooting dice or something. And that, because it ain't nothing to Connor.
Connor? I want to tell you something. I've been in your city 30 times, 40 times. I get lost walking around the corner. This is the hardest city in the world to find your way around.
New York.
Oh, easy. New York's easy. There'll be a little...
They don't, publicize real stories. They only pick out controversial issues, which puts the news in an even worse light.
Our whole show's 24...
On the morning show tomorrow morning.
A different piece. Will be on the morning show. Yeah, no, we're not going to announce the names. What we do is put them across your chest or your face while you're speaking. It saves time. If we only have 2 minutes and 30 seconds to tell the story.
Most of these youth do have needs that must be fulfilled. And some of them find that the only avenue they have of fulfilling these needs is to take something. They'd rather work. They've been asking for jobs. They even made a visit to the mayor to ask for jobs. And they were rebuffed.
Mr. Pryor, what happens around here at night? Is it safe to walk on the streets here at night?
At the present time, it's better. I'll say it like that. But for a few weeks ago, it was bad. The senior citizens and so forth, they weren't safe to go shopping. A lot of senior citizens, they wouldn't even go in the grocery stores unless they had an escort.
Was the trouble all from the gangs?
This is hard to say. You cannot specify anything of this sort unless you're participating with it. And I don't participate. I'm just a small businessman here. I'm trying to stay here. I try to keep peace. I like unity. But I think, and I do believe, and in fact I know, that we need more cooperation in the area from the citizens that live here, the property owners, and everything to back up and clarify some of the mischievous things are being done, because I don't think these things are being done just because the fact, I believe it's somebody behind us is pushing it.
People are scared.
Right. They suffer from fear. And this is the whole thing in a nutshell. They suffer from fear. They are afraid if they report anything that they might get burned out. They might get hurt in the streets. But I don't know. So only thing that I can say is this. I'm proud, and I must put this in, I'm proud of what Coleman Young is doing. I'm proud he's putting help back on the street, because it has quieted this area down, or I'd say at least 75% from what it was. and this makes everybody feel better, and it's safer, and we don't, like I said, we don't have the gunshots and everything around the corners that we've been having, and people getting shot, which has not been publicized. The city knows about it, but the people don't know about it, because
People who live here know about it.
the individuals in close areas. But I think that these things should be televised and let the public know.
Would you walk on these streets at night?
Yes and no. I will walk to a grocery store, yes, at an early time. But to walk at a late hour, I'd say after 10:30, 11 o'clock, no.
What kind of a city is that to live in if you're afraid to walk out on the streets?
Actually, I think it's a whole sight of misery to all mankind, or humankind. This is the way I feel about it.
Put in that it is getting better.
This I have just said.
That it is getting better, and also that young.
I can say where I am, and the editor doesn't have a heart attack.
No laughing, no laughing. Here it is.
And I'm glad to hear it's getting better.
Well,
that's good news.
It is
Your
getting
city
better.
Can't make it, no city can make it.
Well, I'm sure that this city can make it. And I think as we need to do is just cooperate a little bit more with and along with citizenship. I think this is our problem, is that we're not cooperating as citizens. And we need to do this. We need to get the message over to the parent that they have a problem. We have everything in this area. If we rebuild it a little bit, we got
disorder that we've had within the last 2 or 3 weeks, and compare that with what you have now.
These cases are felony cases. They aren't loitering or curfew or all of that you hear around. These are hard felony cases that have been brought to the youth zone. That's doubled in that time.
One last question, please, if I may. You know, we were reading in the newspapers about 2 gangs, the Black Killers and the Errol Flynns, and they all attributed to being East Siders. Why is it organized group of individuals who concentrate their atrocities and what have you, one particular side of the city, or because we have more law enforcement officers, or people over there are more vulnerable, or indeed do we have those kind of things on the west side?
They are all over the city, but the gang activity, in my view, is more extensive on the east side than the west side. But I want to say this to you, sir, that I would not be an expert on that, because juveniles are not charged with belonging to a gang. There is no crime in belonging to a gang, because what is a gang? The 12 disciples are a gang, you're a gang, we're a gang. They don't charge them with belonging to a gang. They come before us on snatching a purse or assaulting someone or so forth. And there's nothing on the petition or anything else would say they were a gang. In fact, if I were a defense attorney, I would object most strongly, because they aren't signing a certificate and saying we are a gang member. And so the cases are not tried on that basis at all. Of these 466 that came in the last 3 or 4 weeks, they weren't labeled gang. I asked the police to label them gang. 15 of them were. 12 of those were loitering cases and curfew. So the juvenile court will not be an expert, except years ago when they had a certain gang detail extremely active, particularly the police did something because he did a gang. So I think you should ask the police department about that. All I know is they're bringing us twice as many felonies.
Well, I understand that. The only reason I asked you, Judge, I didn't see that anyone from the police department had made out a card, and I thought maybe with your expertise, maybe you could respond to that.
I have formerly been in the prosecutor's office. I've been in this council, and I've been around. I will tell you that the gang activity is damn sight higher on the east side than it is on the west.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Are there any other questions by any of the... No, I'm sorry. I have here 25 cards. I think we simply will not permit any questions from the audience. If you desire to speak, then you merely have to fill out a card. And we hope we'll have time to hear everybody. But if we have questions interchanged between witnesses and other speakers, it's going to be all afternoon and all evening before we... 2 or 3 requests.
Without going into specific problems, let me just tell you as a fact that life in this city has reached a point that borders upon hysteria, forming literally vigilante groups in their neighborhoods and are talking about cracking heads of 14-year-olds. I stand before you as a citizen who comes here in defense of our system, in defense of the American system of criminal justice. But that's hard to do these days. And one of the reasons it's hard to do is because you, and when I say you, I mean the legislature and the governor of the state, have not provided the city of Detroit with the kinds of tools it needs to make our system work. Our system can work. I've been fortunate enough to travel in some 63 countries of the world, and believe me, there isn't a system in another country that I would trade for what we have in this country. But if our system is going to work, you have to give it a chance. And to give it a chance, you have to give it the tools. Judge Lincoln has just addressed himself. I say have ever thought about making. I would not break any law that the legislature of the state of Michigan has ever passed. Now, are we as citizens insane? What kind of people need long guns and need to be able to walk up and down Woodward Avenue with long guns, with 12-gauge shotguns, and not prohibit and prescribe that kind of conduct as a citizenry? Well, I, as one citizen, would like to see that kind of law, and it wouldn't cost the citizens of this city and this state a cent. The mayor can't pass that law. The Common Council can't pass that law, but the state legislature can, and the governor can. And I know that there are the brains and the wisdom in Lansing for you to devise such a law so that long arms are prohibited in neighborhoods and urban areas, and yet hunters and farmers are allowed to go about the business that they have to with such arms.